Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another Two Bear Arms broadcast. Today's Trigger Time, where we talk about current topics of the industry of firearms and unique things within the industry. So I'm Kurt.
I'm Deuce.
And welcome to the show. So today, Deuce is going to start off with a Smith that he just reworked, and I'll let him take the mic from here to tell you about it.
Yep. Over the years, actually not over the years, it's been the last couple of years that I've kind of developed an interest in collecting's not the right term, but acquiring older Smith & Wesson revolvers. Kind of in the from the 40s on up, I would say, is what has piqued my interest the most. And so I'm always kind of on the lookout. And I was in another gun shop.
Oh. You're breaking
in another town.
You're breaking my heart.
Well, I had to be there, so I thought I'd kill some time. And I wasn't. It was a big box store. I wasn't even aware that they carried used guns, and they happened to have this sitting in the cabinet. And what this is, and just to confirm real quick, empty firearm.
Alec Baldwin came through and checked.
Alec Baldwin came through and checked these all. This is a this is a Model 10. I believe it's 10-5. Yeah, 10-5. It is a 1979 production. I did find that out from Smith & Wesson. What caught me right away is it's a 2-inch gun. There's so many Model 10s out on the market. I mean, they just made a ridiculous amount of these guns. While the 2-inchers aren't scarce, you just don't see them every day. So every time I see a 2-inch Model 10, it kind of piques my interest. And again, guys, there's several different frames. This is, I guess, the medium frame, the K frame, and it's a 6-shot versus the J frames, which are 5-shot. So I kind of like that. And the gun was in poor enough condition finish-wise. You can probably see it on camera here, even from that distance. The gun obviously was laid on its side somewhere in a drawer, and it's got some corrosion on it and some obviously bluing wear. There were some things I wanted to do to a Smith & Wesson for a long time, but I didn't want to do it to any guns that were nice guns, so to speak. So this gun had enough honest wear, yet was very solid in lockup and had all the bones were good.
Okay.
So what I did is there's a kind of a local legend around here, Denny Reichert.
Denny Reichert.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He was a law enforcement officer.
Yep. With the Rochester Police Department for many, many years.
Many years. And
I used to shoot with Denny back in the 90s, and he passed away last year. Left a huge gap in the firearms industry when he passed away.
Yeah, and like I said, when I say legend, definitely locally here, when people speak of Denny, it's always with very high regard. And he was known for his modifications and tuning of Smith & Wesson revolvers. I've had the opportunity to handle quite a few of his guns, and if you'll notice right off the bat, this if you have an eye for Smith & Wessons, you'll notice the hammer and trigger have been bobbed. Obviously, the trigger's not been bobbed. The trigger's been reprofiled. Hammer's been bobbed. So I did that work. I love working on these Smith & Wessons. I love repairing them, tuning the actions. And so I've always wanted to do these things to a Smith, and this one was in a condition that I didn't feel bad about doing that. Right. And I've been carrying it ever since. Sure. So it's been a daily carry for me. Again, I bobbed the hammer. The single action is, you can still use a single action, but what you get is I did the action as well. We got about I think right around a 2-pound single action trigger pull and about a 7.5-pound double action pull. You can see it's very smooth, and I reprofiled the hammer, or the trigger, to fit my preference when shooting double action. And I'm a big fan of bobbed hammers for concealment revolvers. There's guys that always sparks debate. You guys are like, oh, you need that hammer. Honestly, this is a gun I'm never going to shoot in single action mode. Yep. Even when I practice with it, and I've fired it quite a few times already because it's a great shooter. I'm going to be shooting in double action. So I added the elk stags on here because I don't like stock grips. It's just kind of how I roll. And I've got a Tyler T grip, which is an adapter. It should be arriving tomorrow, actually, on the way, that will complete this remod. And the condition's a little rough bluing wise. I'm not going to do anything with that because it's a carry gun. Sure. It's only going to get rougher as I carry it. Sure. So just kind of a fun project. It was, soaked up a better part of a full day for me. Playing with it, and how I like to sit at the bench. It's very therapeutic for me.
Sure.
It's It's actually just found the hammer spur because it flew across the room as I zipped it off the other day, and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's a Smith & Wesson hammer spur. That's my Model 10 hammer spur.
We'll get all the springs collected that we had fly off in the gunsmithing room. We've joked about that many a time.
If there are two Smiths in the room, one will be on all fours looking for a part. That's how we roll in there. So we always find it. Make no mistake.
Right.
But that's just kind of how gunsmithing goes. But I had a lot of fun with that project.
Awesome.
So I've already gotten a lot of compliments on it. So.
Kind of a shameless plug, here at Two Bear Arms, we have a complete gunsmithing service here. Stop in and talk to us. And if you've got one of these, or older Smith laying around, or any brand for that matter laying around, and you want some modifications done to it, stop in and talk to us. We do a lot of different modifications, and several of us at Gunsmith here, we all have kind of different things that we like to do and that we specialize in, and that makes it a lot of fun. And we pick up on different projects at different times. This one turned out really neat. I got to see it before, and if you go to our Facebook page, I think you can see the before pictures and such. But for those that are new to firearms or whatever, what's the purpose of bobbing the hammer like you did?
Well, it's strictly concealment draw.
Okay.
A gun that you may possibly carry in the pocket or in deep concealment underneath a coat, sweatshirt, something like that. It's just one less thing to hang up as you draw it to snag.
Very good.
Very smooth. And again, I left them in a high buff finish. I actually thought about rebluing them real quick, but I kind of like the contrast. So definitely not a barbecue gun, but something that tells you that it's not stock. And and there's so many guys that you keep it stock or keep it original. Guys, these guns are a dime a dozen, really, and it's now uniquely mine. And hopefully someday my kids will enjoy it. And they'll say, oh yeah, that's that old Smith Dad bought in Fort Wayne and modified it. So,
and keep in mind, when you're going through relatives things, unfortunately we all have relatives that pass away, and as I go through estates, old guns that are found, rusted up or whatever the case may be, still take them into a competent gunsmith. I'm not doing this as a plug just for us, but if you are local, bring it to us. Let us take a look at it and see, things like this can be done to some of them that have finish issues, and they can still be a very viable carry gun and a very unique piece to have conversation about on top of that. So, and that's a completely reliable firearm.
Absolutely.
The finish is a little bit rough on her. That makes it kind of cool too. So I've got a lot of guns that have rough finishes on them that I carry quite often. So
I can tell you I'm the only guy in the county carrying one like it.
There you go. Can't mix them up and you put them all on the table.
Nope.
So that's great. So good deal. Well, moving along into something that customers have asked me about recently, and I was thinking of it earlier today, actually, and I thought, this is a perfect time to kind of talk about the subject a little bit. Something I refer to as truck guns. Now, I want to premise this as I start into this because there's a disclaimer with this that I want everybody to really take to heart, and there's a little story behind it. When I say truck guns, folks, please, and I beg you, do not leave firearms in the vehicle unattended. Do not leave them overnight, locked up, or parked in your garage and think, it's perfectly safe, just to leave the gun in there. If you're going to have a vehicle or a gun in your vehicle, at the end of the day, when you start to go in the house, take the gun with you, please. About 5 or 6 years ago, a gentleman in, I believe it was Crown Point, Indiana, had a gun in his car. Some bad guys broke into it, took the firearm. This was, I think, Thanksgiving Eve. They broke into the car, stole the gun. They kept going down the road there, checking cars and stealing stuff out. They were teenage thieves. They got to like the third house after they had stolen the gun and were breaking into the car, and the homeowner come out with a gun, confronted them, and one of the juveniles used that gun that he had just stolen 10 minutes before and shot the homeowner because the homeowner was focused on the other subject, and the homeowner ended up dying. He had 3 grandkids that were there staying at the house with him, and died senselessly because those kids later during the interview, of course they were captured later during the interview, they had no intention on stealing a firearm. They were looking for change and money and electronics, and just since there was a gun, they took it. And the kid that pulled the trigger said he just got scared. And so had that gun not been there, they would have been captured and there would have been a non-incident. So I use that as a disclaimer when I start this conversation, because that story always sticks with me. On Thanksgiving Eve, a grandfather was killed doing nothing but trying to defend his property by a gun that shouldn't have been left in the vehicle at his neighbor's house. So take your guns in the house. Don't leave them unattended. And if you leave your house to go to work, don't leave your guns unattended. Lock them up in the safes. Don't just leave them tucked in a drawer or in a closet. These are the first things that thieves look for. So lock them up. You've got a lot of responsibility when you purchase a gun. You own it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Make sure they're secure. Or carry them on your person. There again, right. Keeping them secure. So enough with the disclaimer there. But what I'm referring to is truck guns. In all of my vehicles, when I travel, especially if I'm going to be traveling like long trips, I have what I refer to as a truck gun. And in this case, or in all my cases, I really, really like the idea of a shotgun as my truck gun. Now, I still have on my primary firearm my get in and out of the truck to fill with gas, get, your high capacity if you want, or your revolver if you want, your simpler handgun that you carry every day. But in a holster, and I'll show you one of our holsters. We make holsters here at Two Bear Arms for those that aren't aware of it, but we can make you a truck holster, a vehicle holster. This snaps right down in the edge of my console, and this firearm fits right down in it, right next to my leg. So it would be down here on the driver's side, right down by my leg. Folks, this is for emergency situations such as carjackings, such as you make a wrong turn in a big city and you end up in in the middle of some sort of gang violence or riot situation, or if you spend a little time watching some of the videos from 2020, you'll see incidents like that, different incidences over the years. There was one where some folks, Asian descent, turned down a side road somewhere, and the motorcycle, a lot of motorcycles there. I don't remember if they were considered a gang or just a group or what, but there was a confrontation. They started bashing the window out on the truck, and they had to try to drive over the people. It was really, really dramatic. But at one point, during that video, I was watching it and I was like, man, if they would have had this, that would have changed the fight. Right. So I think the driver of the vehicle was actually pulled out, and I don't know if he was killed or just beat severely, but this is a game changer in protecting your family. And for those that don't recognize this, number one, this one's been Cerakoted. This is one of my personal guns, kind of like Deuce does. He likes to have guns modified in some way. It just makes them unique. Most people do. This one, this is a Taurus Judge. This is the poly frame. There again, it is unloaded. Like I say, Alec came in earlier and checked everything for us, so we're good to go. But this one's been Cerakoted. But this is the polymer frame Taurus Judge, the public defender. And what these are 5-shot. They shoot either the 410 shotgun shell loads, which I have right here, the 410 shotgun shell loads, or they can shoot 45 long Colt in the firearms. I prefer to shoot the shotgun shells out of them. That's, to me, the perfect design for these guns. And your options that you have in the shotgun shells range everything from birdshot, which I like to carry it in the summertime when I'm mowing and things, because I'm not a big fan of snakes. Right. So even if they're no longer than that pin, I don't like snakes. So I shoot them multiple times with birdshot. But for the defense purposes, like this shell that I'm holding right here is a double-aught buck. So you've got 32 caliber balls in there that come out every time you pull the trigger. And then we have another version of that. Here's triple-aught buck. So you've got 3 of them that come out of that one. And then they have advanced rounds such as this PDX, and I know there's also one by Hornady called Triple Threat. And the PDX is firing a plated copper disc backed by BBs behind that. So you're getting a shotgun blast, plus you're getting a copper disc fired out of that I believe is 41 caliber on that. So, and the Triple Threat is a 41 caliber bullet backed by pellets then also. So there's a lot of very inventive ammunition that creates a lot of damage. These are fantastic, quick pull fire out the window if need be. There again, I'm not advocating a drive-by. I'm advocating defense from somebody trying to get into your vehicle or get you out of your vehicle. Another great choice is the Bond Arms, which I'm a big fan of, and this one there again is one of my personal guns. And Alec checked that one too to satisfaction. 2-shot. But there again, we're firing the same thing. We're firing those 410 rounds out of it or the 45 long Colt out of it. This is double action, so I can just squeeze the trigger and fire. This does require single action operation, but Bond Arms, fantastic firearms. Most of your gun shops will have Bond Arms in stock. We always have at least 5 or 6 Bond Arms in stock, but absolutely excellent firearms. We use them for side matches and cowboy shooting, and they come in a lot of different calibers to pick from, all made in Texas, and just a really, really great company that I've never had any issue with any of their firearms before, and I own 2 of them. And then we have the Public Defender, which is also the kin to this. They're both Tauruses, and they make these in a lot of different configurations. They make them in longer barrels. They make them in 2.5-inch chamber and 3-inch chambers for the shotgun shell side of things. This one has a bobbed hammer, which you don't see very often, but this is one of their older models that they had a semi-bobbed, I guess you would refer to it as. But most of them will have a full hammer on them. And you can get different grips. You can get laser grips for them, extended grips if you got a bigger hand and want more grip to them. But excellent, excellent truck gun choices to be able to slide into a holster right next to the seat. And what I do, folks, is when I have that in the truck next to the seat, I just have a little rag or piece of T-shirt, I guess, that I can just drape over it if I get out of the truck, only to like fill up for gas or to walk in a convenience store, walk out, of course, lock the truck while you're gone. Otherwise, the gun could be gone, truck still sitting there when you come back. But just to cover it up, so if somebody looks through the window, they don't pay any attention to what's covered up there. So in our RV, in my camper, I have another holster mounted right in there next to the driver's seat there again for the judge to slide right down in. And it just gives you that secondary firearm that doesn't require a lot of aiming and doesn't have over penetration or over distance, to where if I have to fire it in a hurry in the vehicle, I want to keep moving, or I have to fire it more back to the side if they're trying to open the door, I don't have to worry about missing the shot and it traveling 70, 80 yards and hitting somebody. We're not going to get that kind of velocity out of it, but up close it's incredibly devastating. The nice thing about these is I can turn right around after I get home, take it out of the truck. I can take it in, lay it right next to the bed. People all the time walk in and go, "Hey, I want a shotgun for home defense." Hey, great. Have you ever thought of this? Because when you think about it, a shotgun, while a fantastic defense weapon, it's going to require you to either lean completely up in bed or to actually get out of bed to shoulder it or to even rack it. If it's a pistol grip stock, you're going to have to be in a position to where you can. With this, I can still be laying down, grab that, and just start firing towards the door, and then get myself up and either continue to use that gun or get one of the other firearms that I may have available, which I do have available. So, right. And continue the fight without having to go through a reload process. So these are things that, there again, people asked me some questions here recently about secondary guns or truck guns. And when we say secondary guns too, there are times that, and it just, I guess, depends on the situation. I'm always armed. There's never a question about that. I'm always armed. So, but there are times that I'll take this little firearm here as a secondary firearm, and I will have it in a little holster just like that. And that'll be a second firearm that I can just drop in a jacket pocket or that I can clip onto the back of my pants. And then I have a shotgun plus my main gun. So there again, you may not need that very often or even think that you need that very often, but that is an option that you have if you wanted to have a second firearm with you. And if you wanted that to be a shotgun, that's kind of cool to have a shotgun with you, and it'd be perfectly legal as a handgun. So just wanted to kind of cover that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
good info.
Yeah.
Good info. And I'll note, too, just to add to it, Smith also makes Actually, I'm not sure if it's current or they did make a governor.
They still do.
They still make the governor.
They still make the governor. You just can't find them right now because of the pandemic. Yes.
Same concept, except you do get the addition of the ability to shoot 45 ACP in the governor with moon clips.
Yep.
So that's actually a kind of a very three-way firearm there.
Yep.
So, guys, and the cool thing about it, these will shoot 45 Colt as well, which I've shot some 45 Colt out of them and stuff like that. And, again, 45 Colt, when loaded correctly, is a very formidable round, hard round as well. So.
Absolutely. One of our gunsmiths here, he carries a Taurus Judge as his primary firearm. My son, who works here in the shop, he carries a Taurus Judge probably 50% of the time as his primary firearm. So, it's not uncommon to see those as a primary firearm. Just understand, just like with any firearm, what the limitations are on it. So,
and it's a great choice for home defense, vehicle defense, for guys that guys or gals that aren't going to go and hit the range for hours at a time as well. Because this is not a gun you're going to go out and just practice with. I'm going to be the best Taurus Judge shooter in the world. That's not really the concept. Nobody's saying that.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's start competitive shooting with Taurus Judges.
Right.
That's not going to happen. But
not going to happen. So. But I think it's worth noting that I think it's a good choice for those that don't want to put a ton of time in becoming the best, most accurate pistol shooter in the world. While that's important and should be considered by everybody.
Sure.
There's those out there that definitely would fit the bill.
Yeah, so absolutely. So stop in and see us if you're local. We can show you any one of these models in stock, and or if you're not local, stop into your local gun shops, have a conversation with it about it. Most of them will have judges if they're available to them, and a lot of the shops will carry the bond, or they'll be able to order the bond for you. Yep. And like I say, these are excellent choices in my opinion. These are my personal guns, and I trust them completely. And really like the brands too. So, okay. Well, moving on. Let's talk. Let's give a little love to our friend at Hall & Morose there, or Hall Insurance, and Mike there at Hall Insurance. Fantastic folks. This is how great Mike is. Last week, he come in to meet with us, and Mike also runs an Uber taxi service. I didn't know if you knew that.
Really?
So, you have to text him and ask for it. But he come in, we talked insurance, we did business. Don't tell his wife, but he did pick out some more accessories for his gun. But there again, I think he was just reciprocating the love of business. But then he gave me a ride to the dealership because I was having some work done on the truck, and dropped me off. So he also will run an Uber service for his better customers, and so ask him about that if you happen to know him. And they take care of all our insurance needs here, and for our businesses and personal. They can quote about anything. Some of our friends have started using them also and had great response and great luck out of them. Yeah. And just really good folks. And plus he likes talking firearms.
He does. So, great guy.
Anybody listening to the show, obviously you like firearms. Let's support people that like firearms too.
Absolutely.
So, to help him get more money so he can come in here and buy more guns. That's part of the purpose too.
It's a great cycle.
Absolutely. Love the cycle. So, all right, what's our tagline?
WR Hall, they've got you covered.
There you are. Fantastic. I want to give a shout out to one of our other honorary sponsors, and that's the Three Board Guys Woodworking. We talked a little bit about them last week, and they delivered my new 4-gun cart, my specialty cart, and it was designed very some unique requests on the gun cart. They accomplished it fantastic, and looking forward to using it. I haven't got to use it yet. Didn't need it this past weekend. But here coming up, I'm sure it's going to get some use, and very excited about it. So,
if they pleased you, that's quite a high. Quite high praise.
I don't really know what you mean from that.
You're a little high maintenance.
What? No, calm down. Come on now. There's
Whitney Houston, and then there's you. When it comes to divas.
You're really going to say it that way? Really? Really? Oh, my God.
That's all I could think of for divas.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, nice. Whitney Houston.
Rest her soul.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Aretha Franklin?
You're getting worse, dude. You're getting worse, man. I'll also be taking applications for somebody to do podcast with me.
Absolutely. You have to have a high pain tolerance.
Appreciate that too.
No, and also I don't know if it bears mentioning. They might not want us to, but they also do other custom woodworking projects as well, not just gun carts. They are very multifaceted. So if you're after something really special or something maybe intricate or something that nobody else makes, give them a holler.
So, well, I didn't ask them to approve the script, so like kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets,
butcher block countertops. Fantastic. We know that.
If you want to see their work, stop at the SAS headquarters in Akron and asked to take a look at the kitchen area there.
Absolutely. They've got the three of them, they've got years and years of woodworking experience, and they make heirloom. We have a table in our dining room that is absolutely gorgeous.
And I've ate fish at that table many a time. Are we having fish this Friday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Why not?
We were talking about it earlier.
Well, you're the one that's always busy.
Okay. That's because I work so much. That's
Happy New Year.
Yeah. You're on it tonight. Good Lord. Well, you took too many days off, I think, is part of the problem.
I have been gone quite a while.
You have. I was starting to think you weren't coming back. I was like, well,
my kids forgot my name.
Okay.
Daddy.
Okay. Yep.
So I have to go home and spend a little time.
Fantastic.
So my wife still doesn't come around. She'll say like, no. Yeah, she'll. It's almost right on the tip of her tongue. And she's like, he looks familiar.
Oh, she calls you a lot of things.
She does.
When you're not around.
Indeed. Yeah. Oh, when I'm around.
Your wife's a saint. You know how I feel about your wife. Your wife is fantastic.
She does not hold back. Yeah, I know.
Your wife is fantastic.
All my friends say that.
All your friends say that.
All my friends say that.
Absolutely. So you got to start believing that.
I do. Absolutely.
And not expect any different response from us.
No, that's fear-based. I understand that. Totally understand.
Right. All right, get a hold of the three board guys. Woodworking, if you need gun carts for cowboy action shooting is one of their specialties, and then of course their kitchen cabinets and custom countertops and that type of thing. They're fantastic guys, good friends of ours, and they're just right there in Mentone. So
absolutely.
And then of course We the People Munitions, and we appreciate everything they did through the pandemic, all the ammo you guys produced over there and brought forth in the shop and provided for the customers, the competition ammo that goes out all the time to shooters. Sounds like you're going to have a big batch of it heading to EOT.
Absolutely. Making a big batch to bring out to the World Championships.
So. That'll be wonderful. So I'll be shooting it out there. Not that it means much.
So will I.
Yeah. Oh, so but we're going to have a great time out there, and I think we'll have a lot of other shooters out there shooting that ammo.
Absolutely.
So we'll have a lot of, I think there'll be a lot of top three finishers out there all shooting our ammo, which will be fantastic. So we'll see a lot of that.
There was, I think there was just a little over 20,000 rounds used at of WTP at the last end of trail. So
nice. That is wonderful.
That
is wonderful. And not a malfunction or a misfire in the entire batch. And we took our group, our group took the WTP shooters took a lot of prizes out of there. So that was fantastic. So very, very pleased with that. Oh, all right. Well, that concludes our commercial parts, and let's talk a little bit about, now that we're in January, obviously winter time, winter carry and winter practice, and we've got them separated as categories on our whiteboard, but they kind of intertwine. So I guess we'll talk about both of them a little bit here.
Sure.
Do you have any routines or rituals or anything as far as for wintertime, concealed carry or gun choice or?
Yeah, sometimes I generally, once garments, cover garments, whether it's a hoodie or a jacket, you and I we pretty much live in hoodies from the time that October hits to maybe even September till it's hot. So that always broadens our spectrum of what we are comfortable carrying concealed. And of course we open carry often, every day around here. But when it comes to concealment, my guns that's when I tend to break out some of my larger revolvers that I shoot. When I say large, I don't mean 8-inch guns. I mean just bigger frames.
Right.
Quite often I'll carry single action in the wintertime. And again, you could see us just depending on the day of the week. The gun could change from a Monday to Tuesday. So, but I do tend to gravitate towards larger frame guns in that wintertime. And Generally, they're almost always carried in the 4 o'clock position. So.
Okay.
For me during that, in a variety of holsters, I use primarily been using the two arms paddle holsters, which I like easy on and off, and they work well for me. And I've really become a pretty big fan of Kydex for everyday carry. I just really have, and for a variety of reasons. Retention, you just can't beat the retention for me, and that's very, very important. So, I tend to go with a little bit larger gun, something that I can cover with a coat or hoodie.
And that seems to be the general philosophy. It has been for years, and I've heard it from other trainers and such, and we use it during our training classes is, carry the largest. And when we say largest, we're talking about going from the micro carries in the summertime that just because of clothing and such for concealment purposes, you're going to carry a lot of times a micro gun or a very, very small firearm just for the concealment aspect of it. But as fall comes around, go to the largest gun that you feel comfortable and confident carrying, because we always, if we're ever going to be in a situation, we want obviously the largest gun that we can carry in the situation. So, that's, same here. As fall comes on, as winter comes on, you'll start seeing, I'm actually got another one of my 1911s out the other day, started cleaning it up and doing a few modifications to it that I decided to do at the last minute, and I'll be carrying that here coming up. Now the weather's right to conceal it. I ran into town today, ran a bunch of errands. There again, the hoodie was plenty for today, but I just pulled the hoodie down over the holster, there again, paddle holster, like you were just mentioning. And, we open carry here on the property, and I do get asked sometimes, do you guys open carry, all the time? And it's like, no, I really don't. Open carry here on the property, it's more of a deterrent directly here on the property, and we're not going to adversely affect anyone seeing us open carry here, because by God, you came to a gun shop and a range, so you know what to expect. Out in the general public, carrying in the open, people that don't understand why you have a firearm or that are just absolutely scared or intimidated by firearms, you're just adding to the fear. Don't add to their fear. Also, you're giving away your tactical element of surprise. And we talk about that in our training classes, to where, the advantage that you have to have is that the bad guy decides when they're going to attack. But your advantage is they don't realize that you're not a helpless victim until the very last second. And so that's your element of surprise back to them. It's like returning the favor, I guess, is the best way to put it. If your firearm's out in the open, who's the first thing that they're going to focus on or want to take out of the situation? And that would be the person carrying the gun. So there again, that's where law enforcement carries a burden, because they're an obvious billboard of non-victim, I guess. So carry the largest gun that you can throughout the winter. Now there again, with garments, as you add garments, you're also running into situations like we started the show off with, talking about bobbed hammers, things that you're not going to hook the gun on as you're trying to draw it. Nothing would be more terrifying than deciding that it's time to pull that firearm and use it, and then have it all tangled up on the lining of your jacket or your hoodie or your flannel shirt, whatever you have on, trying to get that firearm out. So it does require some practice. And how often do you practice drawing your firearm?
Actually, a lot more often than what you'd probably think. Probably about 3 or 4 times a week, I would say. Always dry fire. I honestly do very little live fire from draw. Just because I'm personally, I believe I'm dealing with a little bit different set of skills as far as when it comes. I pull the trigger a lot. I just don't. I just don't necessarily do draws from live fire from concealment. But it's something that I do consider every time I have a holster made, or especially in the summertime I do a lot of appendix carry, so I practice that quite a bit. But one of the things I incorporate to that is clearing a garment. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, that's literally when you decide how you're going to clear your cover garment, or not your garment in general, to get to that firearm. And I also think about it from a variety of ways. Sitting down, standing up, sitting in the car. A lot of guys, we talked about truck guns. wintertime, you got your coat on, got your seatbelt on, and you're sitting in your car. Good luck getting that firearm out in a timely manner if you're surprised.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
undoing the seatbelt, trying to get to it.
And you're half sitting on it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
And the practice with your garments on, folks, stand in front of a mirror if you've got one in your house there, stand in front of your mirror and practice moving the garment out of the way and drawing and watching yourself in the mirror as you do that. So you can also become instinctive without having to look down at the holster to get the firearm, because that's another thing that we teach in our advanced classes is, once you have a target, stay focused on that target at all times. Reloads, drawing, everything that you do from that point on, don't take your eyes off your target. Stay on that target. So you have to practice and move those garments, move things out of the way. Some people, if they're still carrying a leather holster, they have snaps on them. Practice, if you're switching holsters, practice with, the thumb brake on it. Some people are carrying the older Black Hawk Serpa style holsters that have different levels of retention. It can be a 2-level or a 3-level retention. It may require the gun to be rocked forward or backwards, a thumb brake or a middle finger push button. Any one of those things, you have to practice with that. And you and I both have a tremendous amount of different handguns, and we like to carry them at different times for whatever reason, sometimes just for something different, but and sometimes for weight, sometimes for garment. But every single time, when I was in law enforcement, for example, every single time I put my gun belt on, I practiced 10 to 20 times drawing my firearm out before I went on duty, just to refresh that muscle memory and to be ready if I did need it. Same thing, when I put this gun on this morning, as I was getting ready to go put my shoes on, actually, I stopped and I drew the gun about 5 or 6 times. Just practicing with my hoodie on, just practicing getting that gun out away from the hoodie, using my thumb to dip under the sweatshirt, get a hold of the gun, and use that thumb all the way to get the gun completely pointed out and facing the target. There again, not dry firing it, not live firing it, just drawing it, getting used to that, and then loading it up and putting it back in the holster.
Well, and I don't really have any companies to reference other than just what I've seen, and I don't have any names to reference, but it's kind of interesting. The last couple of years, there's been a boom in concealment for wintertime, for concealment garments that are designed and manufactured specifically to make drawing from concealment easier. I've seen a lot of Velcro breakaway type. I've even seen hoodies marketed with a breakaway type design for concealment. So
sure.
Which may be something that you might want to take a look at and consider. But while we're talking about your opinion on, I personally think it's a bad idea to have a primary gun not on your person. When I say that, I don't mean in your jacket pocket, because lose your jacket, set it on a chair, take it off that moment. You're unarmed at that point in time. Yeah,
that, and then also, and we've discussed this in some of the advanced courses and things, usually if you have a jacket large enough to stick the firearm in a struggle situation, we actually do one scenario where if they have on a longer jacket and you put the gun down in a pocket, an assailant grabbing you from behind can prevent you from ever getting to that firearm. And they can actually use the jacket to kind of tie you up, or pull back on you and bring you off balance, and they've actually got a hold of the gun inside the pocket. They may not even know it's there, but they've got a hold of that. They basically closed your holster, your inability to get to it. Now, the exception to that rule is a secondary gun that can be in the jacket pocket. If you are using it as a secondary gun, but I'm a big fan of your primary gun is on your belt or in a shoulder rig, or in one of the T-shirts that have the holster built into it. But there again, there's limitations to that. You're going to have to be able to get into that fairly quickly. So, but if you wear like a flannel shirt not buttoned, that's a good choice. Or, one of the jack shirts,
Right.
and you don't button it and you've got that t-shirt on, then that's just like carrying a shoulder holster. So whatever works for you there. Whatever holster that and there again, Deuce and I both have a tremendous amount of holsters. Of course, we have the holster company right here. And I don't know, I'm somewhere probably close to 100 holsters in my personal collection. They fall out of my cabinet when I open them up. And a lot of them are prototypes that we've tried for different things, and they've worked well. And we just haven't brought this or that to market yet. But I'm constantly messing with things back there since we've been designing them for so long and try new things. But whatever holster you put on, just because you wore it last year doesn't mean you're ready to wear it this year. And what I mean by that is it needs to be practiced with. It needs to be checked. There again, if you're wearing something that's a shoulder rig and it has leather straps, has snaps or screws.
Chicago screws.
Absolutely.
Notorious for loosening up. And,
absolutely. Check those things. Good example is before I went to Wyoming, I was going to wear a special shoulder rig for my handgun so I could keep it fairly protected and cleaned. I went through and pulled the screws on the main lanyard that goes around that. It was one of our designed holsters. I pulled the screws and re-Loctited them and put them all back in. Really didn't need to.
Right.
But I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to dump that handgun off the mountain.
Sure.
And tightened everything back up, checked the straps, made sure there was no fraying of any sort. If there would have been any inconsistency in it, I would have replaced it. But make sure that your holster is as good a quality and as good a care as the firearm that you're carrying. Make sure your firearm's clean. Just because you pulled it out of the safe doesn't mean it's oiled.
Right.
You may have oiled it last year, but it may need to be re-lubricated and even just dry fire tested. But make sure your firing pin's still working fine, and make sure everything's functional on the firearm before you holster it up. So,
and guys, if you are going to live fire, especially for wintertime carry, it doesn't hurt to do it outside either.
Yep.
Because
absolutely,
as we found out Saturday when we shot a cowboy action match, I don't know why our brains need to be re-engaged with this all the time, but it was, what do you think the wind chill was Saturday?
Oh, it was probably 5, I would guess.
Your hands do not do what you want them to do when it's that kind of temperature.
That was one of my worst shooting experiences in a very long time. I couldn't feel the tips of my fingers. I shot okay, but I had a lot of bobbles with shotgun shells, a lot of rifle.
The fine motor skill stuff.
Oh.
I mean,
absolutely. My fingertips were just absolutely frozen.
So you think about that, you combine that with a little adrenaline.
Yeah.
And you've got you've got some recipes there for a disaster if you're not prepared for what you might run into there. So.
Right, absolutely. So get out, practice in the cold weather a little bit, do some live fire shooting. Come out here, use our outdoor range there is a good choice, or wherever you can get to do a little bit of live fire. Always recommend it in the winter. The guns sound a little different in the winter. I don't know if the recoil changes so much, but definitely sounds different while firing them out there. And that cold sets in pretty quick. May cause your eyes to dry out and feel different. So get used to what that all feels like. If you wear glasses, keep that in mind, especially going from in building to out building. Do they fog? What's that like? So pay attention to your conditions for each season as you go along, and get yourself some practice time. There again, summer comes around, then we get to shoot all we want, but it doesn't hurt to shoot in the winter time. So I'm going to go ahead and announce too, we've been working on, now that we're going into the new year, we're getting ready to launch our classes for 2022. We have had a training company for many, many, many years. We've done training all over Indiana, Michigan, Ohio. Since we started the gun shop 6 years ago, we kind of moved all the training here directly to the facility, just because we don't have time to travel anymore. We still get requests every now and then for travel, but our new training name that we're bringing out is Two Bear Academy, and it will be tied directly to the gun shop, of course, and all the training here on our facility. And we'll be putting together the classes. We'll be announcing those here in one of the upcoming episodes, our class schedules, and when you'll be able to find them online. But We will be bringing out our basic handgun courses again for beginners. We'll be bringing out the ladies-only classes instructed by ladies, which is fantastic. And then we have advanced concealed carry courses that we call EDC courses. And we will also bring back a few of the night shoot courses. Of course, those will be held in the evening. And we'll have those night shooting courses available and different levels of the EDC that you can attend. And then if the summer allows, we'll see how it goes. We'll add another shotgun course in, a home defense shotgun course, and possibly a couple of rifle courses if we get, if the schedule doesn't jam up too fast. But that's kind of what we've got coming up here in the near future, so we wanted to announce that. I was going to wait and announce it next week, but decided last minute we'll announce it now because we don't run on a hard script. I like that.
No, we don't. So we do what we want here.
We do what we want. It's our podcast.
We're total 2-year-olds. We do what we want here.
Very true. Very true.
And I know that very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's why I like when we do our unloaded segments. We just don't even have a whiteboard. So that's a lot of fun. So, all right. Anything else you want to cover on the topics that we've talked about tonight? No.
And, guys, if you like hearing these little segments on concealed carry, as I was sitting here, my brain started popping up into new subjects. So, I've got some good ideas for future podcasts on this. And, kind of involving, what we'd like to do is kind of think more out the box, and, give you some things to think about and maybe even work towards and train for that, differently than you typically would. So
I think in some of our later segments in the Trigger Time series, of course, we'll talk more about tactics and things too, things that'll be available through our classes and such, and we'll discuss all that. So
even some personal health and fitness.
There you go. Absolutely. Would be great. So. Absolutely. So I'll give you a second to think about who we want to throw into the bus for the White Claw, and I'll mention to folks that sponsorships are available for if you own a company. And I was contacted today by one of our good friends that has a business, and they were asking about sponsoring on the podcast. Feel free to get a hold of me here at Two Bear Arms if you own a business and would like to be a sponsor of the show and our upcoming events, our state shoots and different events that take place here on the property. Just contact me. I'll talk to you about the rates and things that are available.
Or if you have a firearms outdoor related product you'd like for us to maybe test out, maybe
absolutely.
Review for you, we'd love to do that here as well.
Absolutely.
We really enjoy that. We're both absolute gear junkies.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter what it is. If it pertains to firearms or the outdoors, we'd like to give it a shot. Yeah,
absolutely. Get a hold of us, and we'll try out your product and give it all kinds of love on here if it's a good product.
Yeah.
So, all right. Who are we going to throw into the bus for the?
I'm having a hard time coming up with somebody. I've gone through. I've gone through my extensive list of people that I'm willing to piss off, I guess, is what I'm
really? It's that short of a list. Come on.
It's pretty short. Yeah. Come on. I'm having a hard time coming up with one.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think of somebody that would kind of enjoy it, as well as maybe be like, oh man.
All right. Well, she's gonna kill us, but we're gonna throw Ruby Ruthless under the bus.
Ruby Ruthless.
Let's throw her under the bus.
Of the Single Action Shooting Society.
Very simple to get a hold of her. All you have to do is call the SAS office Monday through Friday and ask for Ruby.
Ask for Ruby.
The first one to call in and get a hold of her or send her an email. Ruby's going to get. Oh, she's going to kill me.
I'm glad that was your idea.
It was. And we'll see if Ruby actually pays attention to the show or not. So
I think they do listen.
I think they do too.
Office, I think they do.
So anyway, Ruby will get you out some ranch water or White Claw, and she'll be happy to do that. She'll love that. She thinks that's fantastic. So
she might even like herself. I mean, she might drink that.
Yeah, she might. You might not get a 6-pack. You may get a 4-pack. And 2 empty cans.
2 empty cans.
We're not authorizing that or condoning that. We're telling you you're getting a 6-pack. We just didn't say it'd be full. So there you go. All right, wonderful. Ruby Ruthless, get a hold of her. You can send her an email now. Her address is on the SAS webpage there.
Oh, boy.
Boy. Nothing to make her more excited than to come in the morning and have a whole bunch of emails and that type of thing. So fantastic. She'll love us for that.
She will.
So, I'm in trouble. Yep. All right. Well, folks, we thank you very much for watching again tonight. Like we always tell you, keep your powder dry, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.